The story starts as the MC is flustered as the woman of his dreams under the pouring rain is inside his home drying herself up. As the rain seemingly won't stop, it seems he was captivated by her body and beautiful lips, and at that time, he still hadn't noticed that the two of them, with heart beating as fast as it can, would befall both of them as they hold hands. As they leaned in for a kiss, we get a close-up under the bed as the hellish days for the MC would start, as a nerd Yandere classmate was hiding all along, watching them closely as she grits her teeth in anger and frustration. The story formally introduces us to the main characters of two women deeply in love with a precious and timid little boy. The story begins in school, where the MC was slammed to the ground in defeat practicing judo in his club. As he got up breathing heavily, we are introduced to him as Takahata Rui. As he enthusiastically requested one more match, he suddenly clenched his hands hearing his fellow clubmates talking about the girl in the volleyball club for being amazing. With her short hair and beautiful body, she looked dazzling. It seems she was the promising super ace in the volleyball named Akasaka Mia. Mia excelled both in academics and sports, being the idol of all students, but above all she was labeled as the Ice Queen. It seems they also gossip of how scary Mia was, as no guy can get close to her. Besides being devoted to volleyball, it seems she has zero interest in guys, which they indicate she must be a pure maiden. But a sudden loud bang could be heard interrupting their gossip. Takahata announced they shouldn't get distracted and focus for the upcoming tournament. Takahata seems determined, wanting to make it on the team which he gave his focus to. Later that night, it seems Takahata and Mia were walking alongside going home after dark. The two seems flustered and still awkward to one another. However, it seems Mia-san requested to hold hands, but Takahata seemingly turned her down. It seems he didn't deliberately wanted to refuse her offer, but wanted to also do so, but it seems he is troubled of being seen by someone, and the two of them being found out would spell trouble. Hearing this made Mia-san to be frustrated, as he already agreed to go out when she confessed yesterday. It seems he was kinda forced into this, as he couldn't really say no. However, he was really happy that she showed her love and confessed, as dating her feels like a dream. But however, with the bad timing of the upcoming FIST national tournament in 30 years, it pains him, as it's not the time to be dating and be unfocused. Hearing his words made Mia-san to be frustrated and was about to cry, letting her be depressed. Despite this, she wanted to be near Rui-kun's side right now. It seems the expectations from schools and the pressure from the seniors overwhelmed her, as it was too much attention from everyone despite being shy. This made her to feel crushed, but then seeing Ryu-kun to work hard and never giving up, it gave her courage to go on. Which is why she wanted to be by his side and to feel that comfort. From a distance, however, a plump nerd high school girl was watching all of this unfold, where she suddenly called out towards Ryu-kun. She approached, questioning the situation, but he was left in an awkward situation where he couldn't really say anything. The nerdy classmate questioned why is he together with Mia-san from the volleyball team. She suddenly played dumb, calling them out for dating one another. Hearing this made Mia-san to question her identity. The nerdy classmate with a smile suddenly introduced herself as Mizuhara Ayana and as Ryu-kun's childhood friend. Hearing this made her to be surprised. Mizuhara suddenly apologizes for interrupting them, and asks gently to take care of her childhood friend. She smiled and left shortly, apologizing for interrupting and barging in on them. This left Mia-san to see her somewhat cautious. Later that night, as they both parted ways, they both smiled happily and waved towards one another. As he was headed to the train station, he suddenly noticed a tapping Onisha from around the corner. This left him to feel scared and shocked for a moment. Upon checking if Mia-san already left, he dashes towards the corner only to find Mizuhara smiling and grinning. It seems she knew the whole situation between Mia and Ryu-kun, yet she deliberately appeared in front of them. He questioned what was her thinking. Hearing this made her happy, all of a sudden getting satisfaction from his suffering playing dumb, as she just happened to pass by and only found out right now that he was dating the school idol. She suddenly explained Mia-san to be called the Ice Queen due to her being earnest and cute, and it seems she finally knew what Ryu-kun's type is, which is the complete opposite of the Yandere psycho personality she has. Hearing this gave him cold sweat, bowing his head begging to not be told to anyone, and the fact that they were dating. Hearing his words made her understand his situation. But she suddenly exclaims, just like their Sushaden and what they did, especially their little secret from that time. Hearing her words made him anxious as he was pinned down and unwillingly did things with her. He flinched backwards, dripping in cold sweat. Mizuhara pointed out that if he wanted to keep their little secret, then in that case she only asked that he would do whatever he say, cornering Ryu-kun and obey her words. Her voice about their secret echoes in his mind, which on the day of his date he still ponders about it heavily. It seems Miya-san came back from getting water. It seems he was looking pale this morning and asked if he was feeling better now. He made up an excuse of being anxious and couldn't sleep properly last night. Hearing this made Miya-san to blush at his words. Shortly after they headed into the aquarium amusement, left mesmerized by the sea creatures. It seems Ryu-kun looked for a place where they could both enjoy their time together without being seen and thought the aquarium would be nice. Miya-san didn't seem to hear his words and was mesmerized. He called her out. Despite being called a cool beauty at school, she gets pretty excited and riled up. It seems this was her first time coming to an aquarium. Ever since she was little, her life was all about volleyball and never had time to do anything nor dress up, and it seems today she went all out. She suddenly noticed her fingers were injured, which Ryu-kun noticed this and insists on bandaging it up. She felt thankful for the kind gesture, but a kid suddenly bumped into her, causing her to show off her melons towards Ryu-kun. This suddenly made him ill and anxious, remembering the horrific sight of Mizuhara and the traumatic experience to dawn over him. He played it off bumping too hard and decided to casually go with the flow of their date. He suddenly flashed back to a nightmarish event 2 years ago on a rainy day. It seems her mother cooked up a meal and asked him to take it up to Ayana's house. He tried to reject the request but was forced as they were childhood friends. As he walked up next door to their house, he excused himself and pondered if anyone was home. Upon hearing noises upstairs, he decided to head up and peeked around the corner. It seems Ayana-san was being forced down by her own grandfather. This left Ryu-kun to be frozen in place. It seems she noticed him also on the stairs. She tries to seek for help, but he was left helpless, and could only watch and be left in despair, causing her to be overwhelmed by her grandfather's desire. He tried to apologize after going home, questioning why he didn't take any action and called himself useless. But he vividly remembered the beautiful sight was she was getting assaulted. It seems that night he was imagining her and tried to let one out, but to his surprise the door creaked, opening to Ayana-san with cold eyes entering the room. She then caught him in the act and called him out for thinking about her. This left him to be traumatized seeing her figure. He tried to apologize and say sorry, but Ayana-san exclaims of being childhood friends. She questioned why he didn't help her. She suddenly had the bold idea of removing her clothes, showcasing the melons. Instilled with trauma and a deep hatred towards him, she pinned him down and wanted to do the same on what she faced that night. It seems she was abandoned by him and calls him out for his punishment, pinning him and causing him to tremble in fear. It seems this punishment left him to traumatize, not wanting to reveal it to anyone. Remembering Ayana-san's threat, he ponders what does she wants him to further do. He then suddenly got startled as Ayana texted him when Miya-san wasn't paying attention to him. He then got a text on to commemorate his first date. She wanted Ryu-kun to kiss Miya-san right here right now. Behind him he got startled as he has to obey her commands. Seeing this, he anxiously ponders if she was watching them from somewhere. His mind was filled with worried, as over on the distance she was taking a picture of them. It seems she deliberately followed them and is deviously acting. Ayana-san ponders that Miya-san is a pure maiden, and for such a serious high school girl like her on her first date, if a man were to kiss her she would instantly fight back. It seems she plans to give his life a living hell and doesn't want to see him happy, and it's due to the reason he abandoned her when she was in a desperate situation, when she was pinned down by her own grandfather, labeling Ryu-kun to be a terrible person. With crazy eyes she exclaims his act before was unforgivable, bidding both Miya-san and Ryu-kun to not deserve any happiness. Back to Ryu-kun, he still ponders if it's alright doing something like that in public and on their first date. It seems Miya-san would hate the idea. He questioned why is she giving him such a cruel command. He suddenly remembered the past where he used to be like real siblings with Ayana. But since the incident she seemingly made a drastic change personality-wise. It seems they both drifted apart and stopped visiting one another. Even though they also went to the same high school, they both made no effort in interacting. He wonders why is she interfering with Mia-san and him right now. As Mia-san looks at him, it seems she noticed his glance and wonders about it. He tries complimenting her piercing, which she explains it was just a fake one. It seems she wanted to get her ears pierced but her parents strongly disagreed and it seems it was against school rules, but it seems she doesn't care much about fashion. And she wouldn't be able to play in the national tournament. As she was fiddling her earrings seemed to fall off, which Ryu-kun insists on doing so, and it's because he wanted to do a kind gesture towards his girlfriend. Hearing this made her flustered, where they shortly got back to watching the show. It seems he was planning to put the earrings in order to get a kiss from her. It seems he knew himself to be pathetic following Ayana's cruel commands. Ayana-san from a distance is seen displeased as because Ryu-kun doesn't have the guts. She calls him out for pretending to be a good person but in reality he was a coward. It seems she is confident that Ryu-kun doesn't have the balls to do any intimacy with his girlfriend. Back to Mia-san and Ryu, she looks at Ryu while happily smiling. It seems she is happy that he saw her as his girlfriend which made her too excited and embarrassed. As her heart beats uncontrollably, Ryu-kun puts his hands onto her face, exclaiming he was happy being with her also and really likes her. The compliment she receives puts her in a flustered mind. Blushing over much which Ryu-kun decides to give her a kiss on the cheek. He exclaims she was too cute not being able to help it. Hearing this made her bolt out of there. It seems she was embarrassed doing it in public, but finally he achieved his first kiss. But from a distance a dark and threatening mist awaits as Aya-san was displeased by his actions although she has other plans grinning away. It seems Ryu-kun still ponders about his first kiss, but even so he doesn't want Ayana-san to interfere with his relationship anymore and would like to talk to her to end this whole charade. It seems he still is hopeful that things would go better in a positive note considering they were childhood friends and was close to one another before, despite her going through a lot. He suddenly got interrupted as text came through from Ayana-san. It seems it was a photo where upon a closer look she was holding something sharp next to her arm, with the words "I am sorry" following. She also sent another picture where she pointed it onto her oysters exclaiming goodbye towards him. This left him to be worried. As he looks around he is worried on what she is about to do next. It seems she displayed the role of a depressed maiden. Seeing this he suddenly exclaims to Mia-san of being sick. She insists they head home to rest ending their date early, but he excuses himself of just taking a break for a moment whilst running. He questioned where Ayana-san is. It seems he is determined to find and stop her as she really is a handful. As he headed to the bench in front of the beach he finds her calmly sitting down with a smile on her face. It's as if she deliberately planned this to ruin their date. This made Ryu-kun to be worried on what she was thinking sending those photos. But Ayana-san could only congratulate it of his first kiss. It seems her order was obeyed but now she wanted to also receive a kiss from him. Hearing this made him confused questioning why he should do such a thing. It seems she also wanted to receive a kiss. He doesn't seem too keen on doing it, where she suddenly threatened to tell his girlfriend about the relationship and the punishment he received before. He clenched his fist obeying her orders just like a simp, hopeful she won't ever bother them again. As he leans in closer for a kiss it seems she doesn't want it on the lips but on her oyster lips down there. She suddenly showed it off proudly wanting to get a kiss down there to claim dominance over him. Left with no other choice he crouched down and felt shy but Ayana-san pointed out on the day when she ordered him to do it. He was first reluctant but reached his limit and kissed her a lot down there. It seems she sees Ryu-kun as a spoiled puppy asking the oysters to be licked properly. Ryu's mind was in a daze as he was troubled about what he is about to do. It seems his consciousness ponders as even though it's his first date with his girlfriend he is already doing something unworthy. He tries to hesitate, but Ayana-san noticed this threatening to tell his girlfriend about their unfaithful baby making. It seems she also will go far beyond revealing she would be having his babies. Left with no other choice, the coward Emcee has to give in and kiss her in the oysters. This left her to feel a weird type of satisfaction, smiling confidently, but as he chowed down, this made her to breath heavily. As she wants him to do more, Mia-san suddenly appeared trying to look for Ryu-kun, but it seems she was shocked and horrified to find out what he was doing behind her back. As she approached, seeing him from a distance, she rushes forward where she showed her concern for him, but was surprised to find Ayana-san. It seems she went outside getting a text message from Ayana. It seems she requested assistance, and tried playing along of having stomach cramps. She profusely apologized to Mia-san and to intake the medicine she has. It seems Mia-san was surprised as he just ran outside feeling sick, but is now doubting his sorry excuse as she found him with another woman. He tried to make up an excuse of wanting to take a little rest outside, but he then bumped into Ayana, who wasn't feeling well. This seemingly bought him a fair excuse, although yet Mia-san was still skeptical. But Ayana-san played along well. It seems she didn't find anything unusual, but Ryu-kun knew all along that she planned this to make his girlfriend see the atrocious scene and his unfaithfulness towards her all along. It seems this was her plan all along, deviously planning his downfall. This left him nervous in cold sweat, but Ayana suddenly excused herself, not wanting to disturbing their time together. But she suddenly bumped towards Ryu-kun, causing Mia-san to be jealous of the situation. They could only look to one another confused. Mia-san, with the kindness in her heart, asks that Ryu-kun should take her home instead, seeing as she wasn't feeling well. This left Ayana-san to be confused and horrified as she trusts Ryu-kun so much that she didn't foresee this turn of events. It seems she wanted Ayana-san to be accompanied by her childhood friend, where she could only play along, being thankful for the concern. Ryu-kun is troubled as even though the tournament is coming up, she made time for their first date and thanks to him it was ruined. But despite this, she still called him out and gave a worn huge smile with a smile on her face. It seems he labeled himself as not worthy of being his boyfriend. Ayana-san commented that his girlfriend is very kind and considerate, which she points out is the complete opposite of someone like her. Seeing her talk like a crazy person, Ryu-kun could only look at her with a distraught face. Back to Mia-san, she analyzed the situation. She ponders it should have been Ryu-kun who have sent the message instead of Ayana-san. Moreover, if she was feeling unwell, she could have gotten help from the staff. It seems her mind wonders. She finds her actions to be at not doing those close things with his boyfriend, but her mind tries to correct itself that they are both childhood friends, assuring herself. But a woman's intuition is sometimes correct. As Ryu-kun was going home on a bike, he once again stumbles into Ayana with a weird and creepy smile. She asks for a ride home and to not ignore her. As she approached the Emcee, he only let out a sigh passing by her. She tried using Mia-san's words to make him do her commands, which in the end he didn't really had a choice. Ayana-san finds this nostalgic as it has been a long time since they used to do this, especially way back from middle school. It seems she wasn't also talking about this, but about him kissing her own oysters. Even though she was the one who asked for it, she was the one who got embarrassed by this as she felt good. She then suddenly put his hands on his back, asking if he was okay with it. They could continue the licking oysters earlier. Hearing this made him stop the bike. He exclaims he can't see her as her partner due to having Mia-san as his girlfriend. As they shortly arrived at their destination, she suddenly played with him, touching his manly hood in front and pushing her melons against his back. It seems she sees Ryu-kun as a liar as his body knows what it wants. As they arrived home, Ryu-kun vents out his anger and frustration. It seems she has gone too far. Despite being childhood friends, he doesn't care about that anymore as she is becoming out of her mind lately, crossing the line. Ayana, hearing this, could only smile as she pointed out they aren't just childhood friends but more than that, as she points out Ryu-kun liked her before and even promises he would marry her when they were kids. With dark and crazy eyes, she absolutely exclaims of not forgetting that. She shortly left, entering her house, leaving Ryu-kun to be confused with a scared expression on his face, troubled by the fact that she is crazy enough to remember something he said when it was a long time ago. The next morning at school, Mia-san is still performing the best she can for the volleyball tournament. It seems she is riled up this time, defeating the opponent, asking for one more round, but it seems she was told to take a short break as her opponents were exhausted. Seeing this, she agreed on taking a break, but she was met with a weird type of gaze and stares. It seems the people at school expects her to win the national tournament. Even colleges and pros scouted her, but her teammates seems to not want the unwanted attention and is irritated by all the attention focusing on her. And under the weight of those gazes, she feels like being crushed. But this time it seems different. She looks at a distance, thinking about her boyfriend working hard and never giving up under any circumstances. This gives her courage and confidence in herself. As she got back to training, she doesn't seem worried if they can't meet in school as a couple, and him always thinking about her make her strength alone surge. As such, she could do her best, but she suddenly remembered the smug smile of Ayana-san towards her. Remembering this made her to suddenly put a lot of strength than usual, hitting and missing. Later, as training ends, she wanted to question the Emcee on what he was doing with Ayana-san. But she seems to hesitate asking such thing as he might disliked it. It seems she was jealous of their relationship and couldn't believe herself. It seems she is determined towards other to absolutely not lose. She finds herself, even if isolated, she won't give up the ace position either. She worked hard for herself and earned it after all, even as far mustering her courage and confessing, and it seems she wants a boundary between Ayana and the Emcee despite being childhood friends. She finds herself selfish, as she can also not find any friends whom to trust. This time around she only sees Ryu-kun wanting him to be hugged and to be pampered. She then suddenly imagines being pounded and dominated by Ryu-kun, which left her shocked and flustered. This caused her to suddenly be in heat, touching her oysters. Ryu-kun on the other hand also is doing the same thing, touching his rod towards Mia-kun. It seems he loves the way she smiles shyly and her cute figure. It seems he wants to be loved by her so much, but his thoughts were interrupted by Ayana-san's crazy image and the words of demanding to marry her. He wonders why does he remembers this, as they are not children anymore. The two of them ended on a good note, shivering from the wonderful experience of letting it all out. As things ended, Mia-san doesn't want her boyfriend to know she's releasing her desires onto him, as it's embarrassing, and doesn't want to lose him this way. Upon picking up her phone, she suddenly received images when Ayana and Ryu-kun was having a good time. This left her to be anxious. It seems Ayana-san had reached out intentionally, creating the excuse of accidentally sending it to her. It seems this was her plan all along, to deviously make her emotionally unstable in the relationship. With a crazy look on her face, it seems she reads Mia-san as the type of woman who really can't stand losing. On the other hand, Mia-san tries to assure herself that the two of them are just friends, but she remembers the situation before that happened right in front of her eyes. Wanting to trust Ryu-kun, but she somewhat doubt this on the back of her mind. Back at school, Ryu-kun doesn't understood the whole situation despite already having a girlfriend, but yet questions Ayana-san's actions and intentions, doing unfaithful things to him. He suddenly heard his friend vent his frustration of wanting a girlfriend. It seems graduating without one is just too sad. His friend suddenly points him out for still being a lone wolf and being all about club activities. They were interrupted as a noise could be heard where Ayana-san caught a female classmate that almost fell. Seeing Ayana-san's warm smile made the female classmates look at her with envy and is happy to see her. They label her as an elegant, gorgeous and having a great personality. His friend see this and wants someone to also look at like that and confess to him. Hearing this made Ryu-kun to feel something, but he suddenly got interrupted as Mia-san texted if they could call tonight. He shortly replied wanting to talk a lot right now, however she wanted to talk lots tonight as a way to connect with one another. They both happily smiled at this. The hallways suddenly made a loud noise where a laugh could be heard exclaiming of having such a great video. It seems a bunch of fellow classmates were bullying and making fun of Ayana-san. Seeing her figure they immediately got startled. She hurriedly left, startling Mia-san. It seems a bunch of Gyaru caught her eating lunch in the toilet and decided to film her. It seems they mock her for being a loner. It seems they plan on posting this to social media to go viral. Hearing their words suddenly made him remember the time when he helplessly let Ayana-san to be pinned down by her grandfather. It seems he wanted to atone and save her from the humiliation. Mia-san also heard this, but was surprised as Ryu-kun stepped in and grabbed their phones. He asks them to stop and not humiliate her further. His friend also stepped in, warning them of getting expelled. This left them to ultimately delete the video. His friend called him out for having the guts to do so, as he totally freaked out. Ryu-kun still ponders, as this kind of thing alone will never make up for it. It seems this is how he truly feels about Ayana-san. From a distance, Mia-san could only watch anxiously. As class started, he was praised for his excellent reading skills, but for her it seems everyone misunderstands her. She sees herself as not really amazing or admirable, and the altercation earlier, about Ayana being defended by Ryu-kun, was natural. However, it seems she doesn't want another woman like Ayana to be near her boyfriend. She calls herself a terrible person but doesn't seem to understood that boundaries exist. As class ended, Ryu-kun was heading home when the rain started pouring. Upon walking for a while, he stumbled upon into Ayana-san. He approached her, questioning her situation. It seems she looks sad and exclaims of not wanting to be at home when it rains. It seems he vividly remembers the past traumatic event that unfolded, and upon a closer look, her umbrella was all tattered and destroyed. Left with silence, he tries to give her his umbrella and insists on going home together since they lived nearby. It seems he only cared for her about not getting wet, but Ayana pointed out they were gonna look like a couple sharing an umbrella. As they walked home, Mia-san was watching from a distance. It seems she finds the situation odd for them to be walking home together, however it not weird for them as they live nearby. But this was Ayana-san's plan all along. She smirked silently as she deliberately planned the whole thing, even destroying her own umbrella. It seems she also planted a tracker onto Ryu-kun's as to know where his whereabouts as they shortly left school. It seems they were being followed behind by a mysterious figure. Noticing this, she deliberately tried holding his hands with the umbrella. This immediately made Ryu-kun to be uncomfortable. She also sadly mentioned about the rain and not wanting to be at home. It seems this bring her a lot of bad memories. She suddenly pushed her melons against him, which shocked Mia-san as he exclaims being alone is painful. She then questioned if she could visit his home that night. Hearing this startled Ryu-kun. Mia-san on the other hand is skeptical if they were just childhood friends. From a distance, Mia-san followed along, and is sweating nervously on what's about to unfold. It seems with the tournament coming up, she has to keep her body in shape, but with this situation in front of her she couldn't stand and control her feelings. It seems curiosity got the best of her and wanted to investigate further on the relationship between Ayana and Ryu-kun, or if there is something more. As they turned around the corner, she was horrified to see that Ayana-san kissed her boyfriend. She tries to deny this, but it seems she only made it seem like this way. From behind her, it seems she noticed Mia-san watching them. With a crazy smile on her face, it seems she is determined on winning. As they arrived home, they found her mom's beauty salon to be closed today. It seems she went out with her friends. She suddenly brought up his mother used to cutting her hair before. She then ponders if he would be willing to let her into their house. Ryu-kun hearing this became hesitant, apologizing of not being able to let her in. As soon as he heard this, she suddenly became dark-eyed, disappointed by the words that came out of his mouth. She apologized and went in towards the pouring rain. Seeing her sorry figure, he anxiously let her in, and inside she finds this to be nostalgic as it's been a long time since she last came into his room. He doesn't seem too keen in being in the same room. He tries to excuse himself, but Ayana-san insists she should stay with her. It seems she made puppy eyes, explaining that when it rains and she is alone she finds it to be so scary. Hearing this made Ryu-kun to still fall for her schemes, worry of her catching a cold. She suddenly took off her clothes in front of him, calling Ryu-kun to be kind. It seems she plans to boast about her giant watermelons. She then sadly explained whenever she was lonely at home when they were little. It seems Ryu-kun was worried about her and played with her. It also seems for her the promise he made her happy, and if she could get married to him things would be forever full of happiness. But a suddenly flashback from when she got assaulted came into mind, as her family wasn't all happy and full of joy, giving her trauma and robbing her of her childhood. But right now she seems content being right next to Ryu-kun, pushing against her giant watermelons, asking to be granted one wish. It seems she wanted to have babies and wants his seeds inside of her. Hearing this, she boldly made a statement that he already has a girlfriend and someday he would marry her and would have children. Ryu-kun doesn't deny this, but it seems marriage and kids are still far along as they only started dating. He also called out her ridiculous demands of having kids with her, questioning her words and intentions. She then suddenly went locked in and crazy, stating he would marry her, but for her this seemed impossible now, which she then made a bold statement: if she can't marry him, as long as she is able to have his children and seeds, she could have her own family, and that alone would make her happy. Ryu-kun apologized, and even if he already did it with her before, she still sees her like a sister and can't see her as a woman. With dark eyes, she is still displeased hearing these words, but laughs and suddenly reveals it was just a joke, playing it off.